need to know.
Visit LibrarySmart.com, your online guide to smart information.
Welcome back to our show, Back to Basics, a hardwiring of Christ through conversations. This is Faust Van. Each week we will discuss topics like marriage, family, communications, etc., whatever that topic is, through the lens of Christ. And each week you have a chance to chime into the conversation by either calling us at 253-584-1480. The lines are hot and open. Or if you're new school and you don't like using the phone, but you like using your smartphone, you can hit us at the Back to Basics page. We are live, and you can just send us a message, and we'll try to answer your question promptly. So last week we talked about living behind a two-faced life. What is that exactly? It is when we put on the mask to deal with the hurt or the shame of a situation. We said that last time it stunted our growth, even as we entered the room of grace. Has anybody have any thoughts on that? If you do, you can give us a call back at 253-584-1480 or hit us up at the Back to Basics page. So when we were told to put on the mask, we didn't know that our mask doesn't give us love. The mask just receives love, and I don't. There are some pros, though, even though having a mask, you can gain admiration and respect, and you can even intimidate people. But the mask will never let you receive love at all. So what do we do with that? We go back and we jump into our mask shop to fashion a better mask, or even more mask, in hope and anticipation that we will receive what we long for. Does anyone know that what we long for? Give us a shout back if you know the answer or just want to ask some questions, 253-584-1480, or again, hit us at the Back to Basics page. What is it that we want to have? We want to be loved, we want to be known, we want to be accepted and trusted. I want you to ponder on that for a moment. And it doesn't matter who you are, what background, what family, what if faith, Christian or not, wherever you live or even your culture. This resonates with all of us. This is not new either. Do you guys remember the source? Think way back, way back. When God came in the cool of the day with Adam and Eve, actually, when God came in the cool of the day with Adam and Eve, it was the first time when Adam and Eve sinned. They ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge, good and evil, and what was the first thing they went over and did? They were afraid, and they were naked, and they hid themselves. Adam created this dance, and you and I are creating an art form around it. When does this happen to us? Give us a shout back, 253-584-1480, or give us a shout at Back to Basics page, and that's back with the number 2, Basics. If we did something, or someone has done something to me, that's when it happens, and now I'm naked, and I don't want to be, but I am. We can't remain naked, so we cover ourselves with fig leaves, and now it is who I am. It is not just about being naked, but it's thinking that we are uniquely and terribly wrong. There's something uniquely and terribly wrong about ourselves or even me. This is how shame works, and it's different from guilt. Do you know the difference between the two? If you do, give us a shout back, 253-584-1480, or again, you can live message us on the Back to Basics page. Guilt wants to lead us to forgiveness and to be clean. That's what guilt does. But shame drives us to hide, convinced that we cannot fully, truly be forgiven or be clean. It forced Adam and Eve to cover themselves with whatever was available at the time, like a bush or a tree or whatever they hid behind. So Adam and Eve covered themselves and they lived happily ever after, right? Wrong. If you ever heard of the term sin management, this is the earliest recorded form of it. What are your thoughts so far? Give us a shout back, 253-584-1480, or you can hit us on the Back to Basics page, and we're going through John Lynch's book, The Cure. The funny thing is that we still try to cover our shame in it, and it doesn't work. It hasn't worked, and it will never work. So what covering did work? It's God's covering that worked, and they were free from hiding and condemnation. So once they got the fig leaves that God specifically gave them, they were free from that. There were still consequences, but they were free from hiding condemnation. And even though this covering is 2 millenniums old, it still works for us today. We think we can cover the deal, but we can't, and only God can make the payment for shame and anything else that is a result of being naked. No efforts, no amends, no promises will cover this. You can't pay it. The total payment is trusting what God has done and what he's paid to cleanse me, which was on the cross. Do you trust in this payment? Do you want to go back to the room of pleasing God? Do you want to stay in the trusting God room and just scared? Give us a shout back, 253-584-1480, or you can go over and hit us on the Back2Basics page, and it's back, the number 2 basics. You'll see our logo, and then you'll see me and Bobby in the radio studio. We can't make ourselves worthy. I'm pleasing him, and then try to obtain his acceptance. We need to daily trust him on what he's done to make me and you worthy of his acceptance. Military trials in my life have done that before. I try to go over and please X person and please X person and please X person, and I did that for a long time, and it just exhausted me and just daunted me and those type of things. And I need to go over and trust that no matter what the military or the civilian world goes over and brings, it's the trust in Jesus that's going to go. And I might be taking a trust sleep these next couple weeks, and we'll discuss that when I go do that. So that day in the garden, we learned how to look over our shoulders. We learned how to dart, and we learned to say one thing and mean another. We learned to hide. We learned to fear. We learned to do deceit and shame behind a nervous smile. This is the day we looked different than who we actually are when we lived that out. After so long, we lose hope and to be fixed so we can continue to cover and bluff. After a while, you don't know who you are anymore. This is what we look like behind the mask. And there are 3 groupings of that mask and endless varieties of them. For brevity's sake, and since I only have 20 minutes, we're going to talk about 3 groups that we identify the most at. And you can also read the book The Cure that John Lynch wrote that we've been going through this month, and also listen to prior podcasts. So the first mask that we're going to go through is the doing just fine mask. This crowd is convinced they're neat and they're tidy, and it's better than they're better being authentically known. And is this you? That you just want to be neat and you want to hide yourself and you think being neat and tidy is better than being authentically known? Give us a shout back, 253-584-1480, or again, you hit us on the Back2Basics page. If you wear this mask, you believe God wants us to appear orderly and good, whether we are or not. Prim and proper doesn't even start the description of this mask. The highest value of this mask is appropriateness and rightness. If you're a parent wearing this mask, you applaud the highest behaviors, then learning to trust God. You look nice, scrubbed up, smiling broadly, shake hands firmly, and conversations go like this. I'm fine. How are you? I'm doing fine, just fine. Well, how are your kids doing? Oh, they're doing great. They're in honor school and everything else. They got straight A's and they're doing fine. Just fine. Thanks for asking. Do you resonate with this mask? Do you live in this mask? Give us a shout back, 253-584-1480, or you can go over and shoot us at Back2Basics. Again, you can stay anonymous in some of these questions. These are kind of hard, fast, and heavy. But if you can't answer them over us live on the phone or through the Back2Basics page, shoot us a message throughout the week. You can shoot a private message to us also. This mask hides pain, covers shame with appearance and a forced smile. We see that we can't fix our issues, so it's best to hide. No matter who I am with my family, friends, kids, or even my spouse, I'm not known by nobody. I can have the deepest conversations and be super intellectual, but truly, I'm on the run, frantically operating levers behind that curtain, which is my mask. If I could take off the mask long enough, many would say I'm tired. I'm really tired. I'm really hurt, weary of dragging myself to the same hoops. I feel betrayed by my own behavior and really my community of faith. I truly think everyone's doing fine, and I believe they are, and that hurts most of all. If I'm really truthful with myself, I feel God betrayed me. And then I go put back on the mask, and I go back to the same smile and just fine attitude. This was the first mask that we talked about. There's another mask, and the second mask is those who still searching for my next new technique. And this is where I sit when I walk into this mask. I also send the third mask, which we'll talk about. In this mask, everything is not fine. It hasn't been fine in a long time. We are constantly chasing message after message, my message, someone else's message, this famous pastor's message, podcast app to podcast app, grabbing everything to fix ourselves. We're reading every book, we're listening to every video, we're following a bunch of people's pages, so on and so forth. And we range our deck chairs for a while. And until that brings us too much, unless it brings too much pain and too much change, and we won't do that. But if each new spiritual diet plan that we get on, and hopefully we go lose that sin weight, we grow increasingly skeptical. When we don't get an answer after the 5th or 6th or 8th time, we get a twisted reasoning that creeps into our thinking. And this is what it is. What's wrong with me? Nothing works. Maybe even after what I've done, I don't deserve answers. Others seem to figure out this stuff while I'm just stay the same. Nothing is getting me to the abundant life I'm supposed to be experiencing. Does this sound like you? If it does, give us a shout back. You can always do it anonymously, 253-584-1480, or hit us on our Back to Basics page, shoot on the visitors page, or shoot us a straight message. I know in my marriage I went over and did that for a while. I kept going over and trying to grab each next mass, fix this and fix that, and go over and do this specific thing, go to this church service, move from place to place, and it doesn't help. I even ran from place to place and said, hey, well, this place, Washington, didn't work out for me, so I'm going to go run and change jobs and everything and get a new mask and get a new job in the Air Force and go to this place. And then after that for a while, I'm like, no, it's the people and everything else, and I go move to the next place. Really found out a lot of times with myself and trusting what he really has. Even just recently, it was the first time that we got declined for a place that we went, and we said, God, we really want to go there. We see the land that's fruitful, but we're going to trust in you. So 6 to 12 months from now, we're going to try to correct some things in our lives, fiscally, spiritually and whatnot, allow to trust in you, and then hopefully we can try again. And it's an easy mask to just put back on and go over and say, like, all right, this place sucks, or this sucks, or this whatever, or it's just, I'm going to go do this new thing to go fix it. So we adopt formulas and strategies and disciplines and promises change, but it stays the same. We fear others will begin to learn that we are being messed up. We'll learn a new vocabulary, arrange the deck chairs, change behaviors, but feel only slightly different deep inside. If someone could jump in our head, which is scary, they'd feel disgusting at what they discovered. We'd be freaked out of others learning the truth about us, so we act super intelligent and knowledgeable and know truths that we don't know, but we share with you. We even offer answers to others, knowing those answers that aren't working for us most of the time. After so much time, we think and suspect that what's missing is hidden from our ability to fix at all. And some people are listening to this and say, hey, get a grip, man. What's wrong with you? And that's what the third group of mask is. And this one might be the most painful if you definitely sit in this mask. And these are those who are wearing the pedigreed mask. If you fit into this group, you are all the together folks, the postcard family, wife, husband, 2 kids, 12 kids, whatever, and everything. Do you know what this looks like? Maybe you know before I even tell you. Give us a shout back, 253-584-1480, or again, hit us on the Back to Basics page. You've probably seen them before, well-educated, well-heeled, well-heed, well-groomed, well-assured, well-positioned. It's, a lot of work, and it's a lot of work for everyone else. They don't know what messy looks like except when they see it in you. They don't understand the messy life, and they don't understand the hang-ups, and they want you to just get over it. They won't say it, but they feel superior to you in some extent. They don't need help. They don't even need help in God, but they think others do. Now, don't get me wrong, they're thankful for what God did on the cross, but these are the words they can't relate to, like dependency, needs, vulnerability